the quote from James Pierce's articles, he's a senior Anfield source have indicated that following lengthy discussion, the deal stopped making sense.
Yeah.
Is Jurgen Klopp in those conversations?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the biggest question, and it is a question that I'm sure he'll be asked on Friday. I'm sure we can guess the get ready at an early press conference as well, so you'll have all day to fume. But he'll be asked, I'm sure, about the situation. But the question that I would ask if I get the chance, I'm always last on, so usually he's been asked it before I get round to me. But would be, who's making this decision? Because your sporting director's on his way out. The guy who was the sort of glue that linked the owners and the football side, we're told has moved back from that role. So
this is Mike Gordon,
who's moved away. There's nobody. The other people, senior figures on the recruitment team, yeah, Dave Fallows, Barry Hunter, others, yeah, have they got a say in it, or are they just are they sort of the doers in the story? It has to be the manager, doesn't it? It has to be him, sort of certainly driving a lot of what Liverpool need, what to do, and that is interesting, isn't it? Because I don't think there are many managers in the Premier League at the moment who've got as much responsibility as him for sort of not just the, especially given the form, fixing the problems on the pitch, but also juggling these things off the pitch, where it's a case of, well, do you want that, or do you want this, or what do you want? Those kind of things. I think in the past it's been a bit more sort of obvious, where it's like, well, okay, Jurgen will sort of make his representation and he wants this, and the club will tell him whether he can do it or not, and then he'll move on. I think now it's almost like they're deciding with Jurgen what they're going to do, as opposed to sort of feeding back to him. But that's the obvious conclusion to reach.
Is the thing with Jurgen involved in this though is he's a smart man. He knows he's got lots of credit in the bank, but credit runs out pretty quickly. He'll be acutely aware of how much this summer needs to be right, because he and is almost, I guess, he will be aware of the added scrutiny that this is putting on him, and you would guess he's the one ultimately making the decision, and the decision will be, would you, and it's a simplification to say, you can have Bellingham and you'll have £50 million left over to do the rest, or you can have these three players for that price and have £50 million left over, and he's effectively choosing the latter option, but he will know that he has to get the recruitment right this summer because he can't afford another season like this one.
And also, I suppose the other point to make on that is you have to know you can get those players as well. If it's a case of let's just use three names I can see on here: Barella, Mount, Caicedo. Let's say that was the argument. Mm-hmm. Oh, we get those three. What happens if you go to get Caicedo and Brighton? So we're not selling him.
Yeah,
we want 100 million, and you say, well, we're not paying that. It's like, okay, well, cross him off your list. Mason Mount says, you know what, Frank Lampard's got the Chelsea job, I'll sign a new contract to Chelsea, I'm going to stay. You go, oh, right, okay, that's a blow. Well, all of a sudden you're halfway down your reserve list, and you've lost time, you've lost whatever. You're all of a sudden you're in a position where it's like, oh God, like what do we do? So could you reach the conclusion that Liverpool have got something in mind where they've made some progress on some of these fronts? I think it's fair. I think that's a fair hope to have, given some of the comments from Jurgen. I think he said I'm positive in terms of players, didn't he? He said we will definitely spend. There have been talks, no decisions, but positive talks. Okay, so if Liverpool made some progress with some of these players, that is the hope, and I think it needs to be sort of finished off as well, because I don't think Liverpool can't go into the summer with this idea where you start seeing this sort of bidding war coming on, and first bid rejected, and Liverpool going to go back with an improved bid, or Liverpool are just monitoring that situation, but Manchester United might steal them. Liverpool need to be in a position where it goes bang, bang, bang. They're our players. Thank you. Right, let's sort of draw a line under it.
That's the 2016 summer thing all over again, isn't it? Is that the latest one to come in was pretty much Genie, I think, and maybe Manninger, around time. But Liverpool got their business done early doors, so they head over to America and in the box.
Yeah, they've done it. That was their MO, wasn't it? You think of 2018 was another one, big summer. Alisson, Fabinho, Keita came, obviously. I mean, Keita was lined up a year earlier. Fabinho was signed the day after the Champions League final, the Monday after the Champions League final. I think the last one to come in was probably Shaqiri. That was during the tour, which was late July. So yeah, they were in place. They have to be in place.
Danny Ward was just getting on the coach at Blackburn after pre-season. Getting convinced he was starting the season.
Came in. So, but that, I think that it needs to be like that now. It's only they're gonna get a lot of criticism now. They're already. I haven't even seen the Discord, but I know they'll be getting criticism. I know from the text of them and the tweets what fans think about all this. I agree with a lot of it. They can't now look like they're winging it with the second choice. It has to be sort of, look, we're sorry about that. Yeah, we're not doing that, but this is what we're doing. It has to be that. It can't be, we'll have a look. If they lower that asking price, we'll go in. Or if he doesn't go there or he doesn't sign a new contract, we'll do that. It has to be sort of more ruthless the way Liverpool operate, and I have big doubts about whether they'll do it.
Really?
Yeah, because just of what they've done in the past, and the position that the club finds itself in, and the competition that there are for players.
Hey, sorry to interrupt the flow of conversation, but I just want to let you know, if you're enjoying this chat between Neil and I, then the full Neil Jones Journo Insight Jude Bellingham special is streaming exclusively on redmenplus.com. 60 minutes, looking at the timeline of the story, going all the way back to David Ornstein originally breaking this as a concept, Jan Arge Fjortoft saying Liverpool have put a bid in, and then what happens next, as well as taking some questions from our Liverpool club legends from our Discord. Head over to redmenplus.com. If you use the code JOURNO, JOURNO, you'll get it for 99 pence for 3 months. redmenplus.com. On with the show.
You look at some of these names on here.
Yeah.
So we'll go through. Alexis McAllister, I think he'll have suitors. Moises Caicedo's already had suitors. Declan Rice, suitors, definitely competition. Ryan Gravenberch already linked with Arsenal today, or recently. They aren't players that you go, well, they're Liverpool's if they want them. They're players that Liverpool have still got to win the race for, and
is this the problem when you step out of that upper echelon of football, where as much as the competition is fierce in some regards, you can have clear conversations with these footballers, I think, whereas when you enter into that mush below that, which is teams that have got
the Europa League,
but like Europa League to Champions with Champions League ambitions, there's loads of clubs in that mix that some of them will actually pay above and beyond because you're going to be a star. You'll be a star signing for one of those clubs as opposed to being one of the.
You are also. I mean, it doesn't help. It really doesn't help that Newcastle are probably going to finish in the top 4 because they're probably that promotes them a year before where they probably were. They would probably be still making those kind of the odd signing where you go, that's a decent signing for them. Now they can actually go, we've got the money and we're in there. They can move up a level in terms of the players they can get. It wouldn't amaze you if they got Declan Rice in the summer or James Maddison or levels of that where you go, well, a year you'd expect at this point that would have been beyond them. Now all of a sudden it's like, no, go ahead, we'll push the button on that. So I don't think that certainly doesn't help. It probably doesn't help what Arsenal have done. Mm-hmm. That they've exceeded expectations massively, put themselves in a position where obviously they've already spent a fair bit of money to get up there, and now they're potentially doing it as title winners or at the very least title contenders and a Champions League club. That's 2 new people into the mix that you didn't have to worry about 12 months ago. You were worrying about Chelsea, weren't you? And you were worrying about Manchester United. You were maybe worrying about Tottenham, kind of. But now you've got two new people at the table who not only are above you in the table, are probably going to be looking at the same kind of players that you're looking for as well. So and able to pay for them. Yeah.
I mean, my only counterpoint to the thing you said earlier about whether Liverpool can do it or not. Like, obviously, this is with Julian Ward in charge, of course, but at least we saw with Diaz and with Darwin that they were the ones they wanted, and they went and
Gakpo.
And Gakpo, and actually just went and got the business done, of course. And just before we kind of move on and get some of the Discord comments, these people are wrong about this stuff sometimes. I know it seems pretty conclusive now, and I don't think anyone should. Yeah, well,
I know what you're saying.
I was trying to I had a lot of people kicking off in our Redmen sort of family WhatsApp group last night, and understandably, I think everyone's obviously raging about it. I feel just a bit detached from everything at the minute, so I'm not kind of not like I'm not concerned with Liverpool's future, but I'm less emotionally attached. But it does happen. It does. This kind of stuff happens all the time, and people have already been finding tweet examples where Joyce's got it wrong, and said
just mentioned one.
To
be honest, inadvertently, you just mentioned one. Didn't you? Danny Ward is obviously one that a lot of people will remember. Oh yeah, certain people said Danny Ward was going to be Liverpool's number one, and 2 days later they signed Alisson. Of course, it's not unfeasible that it's a pretty public and sort of wild negotiating tactic. I don't look at some of the language. I don't think I used it, but I think the headline on the Athletic is Liverpool pull out of Jude Bellingham. I think Chris Bascom's piece said I think that was the out of the race. It's hard to see that changes. Anytime dramatic or any sort of level of. It would be a dramatic turnaround. There are scenarios. I mean, it's on here. I think on this, any chance that he just basically says Bellingham just says I want Liverpool, and that's that. But I don't necessarily see that. But yeah, you're right. Until something sort of categorically happens, i.e., he signs his new contract or he goes to wherever, there'll still be people holding out hope, and good luck to them. This is, the conversations that I've had, the conversations that obviously the rest of the pack around Liverpool have had. I mean, you mentioned David Ornstein, that was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? So the noise, the chatter, the conversations all seem to be pointing in the direction that we're talking about it at the top of the show. Race over, and that's. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, to be honest.
Go to redmenplus.com, redmenplus.com, redmenplus.redmenplus.com, and you will get discount codes for redmenmerch.com, redmenmerch.com, redmenmerch.redmenmerch.redmenmerch.com.